Loan officers, are you looking for an easy script to get a client from the phone to a Zoom meeting? Are you looking for a hack? I don't love that word, but are you looking for a hack that'll help get your video email link sent to more people through their spam filters? And are you really trying to figure out how can I take this one conversation I had and turn it to not three, not five, but five plus a cherry on top opportunities? This conversation with Jeremy Forcier is for you. Can't wait for you to hear it and can't wait for your feedback. Welcome, everyone, to the Loan Officer Mastermind. I am Todd Bookspan, the founder of Win by Noon. And as always, we're excited to have you, whether you're watching us here live and part of the conversation, whether you're watching us on YouTube or now on any of the podcast platforms, including Spotify. Super excited. Our co-host Dave Savage is going to come in a little late today, but listen, we don't need Dave. We got Deborah Byrd, founder of Plug and Play SM. What's up? Let's make sure we shower Dave with some birthday love. As always, it is fun to be here on Friday, but I can't think of a guest that makes it more fun, but actually more importantly, more actionable than Jeremy Forcier. I think you all know Jeremy. I think he's been interviewed between our Friday Mastermind and then the Tuesday Mastermind that Dave does over on the Trust Engine channel more than anyone else. And I think really, if I think the conversations that we've had recently, I'm just seeing Jeremy impact more loan officers with little tidbits of something that they can do, not tomorrow, not next week, but today to get more business. He's officially going live with RiseCo, his new coaching platform, on July 1st, riseco.com. Welcome, Jeremy.
What's happening?
I mean, especially because you're in California, like you just have this glow. Looks great.
I really appreciate it. Been working on it for 3 years, and that's actually a fact. Total side conversation some other time. But I mean, it kind of does have to do with work, I guess, when you really think about it. It's like commit to doing something, and you have to do it for a long time before you
And
see any difference.
consistently. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
Can't just
in
do it
3 years,
once.
it took you 3 years to get there, right? The lead that you call today, the realtor that you nurture today might not turn into something that glows for 3 years. And here, Jeremy's given a great example that has nothing to do with actual mortgage work. It's actually the rest of his personal life.
Hey, but when you look good and you feel good, you play good. So
That's
there you
right.
go.
Be good.
Well, but look at it. You're on like day 500 of being a ruck guy, right? I mean, you committed in 2025 to ruck every day. And that literally could be you throwing the rucksack on and walking your dog for 15 minutes, right? The
Yep.
bottom line is you've proven to me and the rest of the world that being consistent has so much overflow in the rest of your life.
100%. Yep. It's the truth, man. Little daily disciplines stacked together over and over and over again. That's what creates like real change and momentum over time. So I'm excited to be here, you guys, and like mastermind with you guys. And hopefully I can learn something great and I can share some good things too.
On our Win Now podcast that Deborah and I put out every week, it's like a 15 to 25-minute morsel of some conversation that Deborah and I have had with clients or observations we've made. And so maybe Jeremy could be our first guest of the year. I think we've done about 16, 17 episodes, just solo Deborah and I, but we could have a skincare episode. I think we'd have fun.
I think we need it.
Yeah. All right. We'll make that happen. Today you titled it One Conversation, Five Opportunities, which I thought was really intriguing because I think in the end, I know you're really focused on people having conversations, right? One of the things that you're giving away on at riseco.com is your new tracker and you're tracking conversations. And so if you could take one conversation and amplify it by five, to me that just says that's a super important thing for us to talk about.
Yeah, no doubt, man. So first of all, because we haven't talked at all, of course, leading up to this, because that would be cheating. And I hate cheating.
We haven't cheated.
So I would love to ask actually both you, Deborah, and Todd, when I say like one conversation, five opportunities, what comes to your guys' mind?
Squeezing the juice out of every conversation, every relationship, like every at bat, not just the immediate and obvious one, but holistically, how can you serve more and generate more opportunities?
What about you, Todd?
We were talking about, the pinball wizard, Tommy the Who, things that you had never heard about before when we went live because you're younger than the rest of us. Or I guess you're not younger than Deborah. She just apparently is more cultured than you are when it comes to 80s
No,
stuff.
I hadn't heard of it either.
All right. Okay, good. All right. Well, never mind. Rocky Horror Picture Show, The Who's Tommy, and Pinball Wizard, neither of them know about, but but that's okay. It brings me back to The Price is Right. So another old show where there was like, okay, you were a guest, you had one opportunity to get up, but you had what's behind curtain number one, two, or three. And one could be something cool. I can't remember what it was. I don't think it was anything as cool as a car, but there was one really good prize, one mediocre prize, and one thing that was like, dog turd in a bag, right? It wasn't good at all. And so I feel like what Deborah said is accurate. I feel it's like you got to peel back the onion and see what else. Most of us just look at that opportunity that's right in front of us. So it's a lead that gets referred to us, and we're looking at the loan we can help them with today. We're not really looking at who else do they know? What else could we do to help provide them services? And what else is there? And as I'm saying this, I'm guessing that, Jeremy, you have a whole nother twist on this.
Well, it's not necessarily a whole nother twist, but I think that it is good to be curious about like what other people hear before you start talking about a concept, because I could learn something from you guys as well. But there's not a wrong answer to the way that both of you answered. That's true. And that is really a big part of it. Something that I have been really intentionally focused on over the last 6 months, 8 months-ish, is how can I take conversations and go deeper and lose less clients, right? Be more engaged. But then how can I take that concept and use it in multiple different ways, right? And so I've been teaching this to my loan officers that work for me, and it's really simple. It's really, really simple, but it's so impactful, and we just overcomplicate it. So I'm just going to give like a couple of examples of like one conversation, 5 opportunities, or using something 5 different ways. And by the way, it doesn't even have to be a conversation with someone. So let me take you through the framework like a little bit. So there's like a big conflict going on right now, right? Like in the Middle East and with the US. And so, what I did was I was having so many conversations with clients about interest rate volatility, still am, right? Because it's still very volatile on a day-to-day basis, that I thought to myself, like, how can I take these conversations and make it really proactive in a way that I can communicate it differently on a mass scale, on a micro scale, on a social scale? How can I use these same conversations 3, 4, 5 different ways, right? So I'm going to give you like a really simple example using this Iran conflict. Is I was having these conversations every day and I was getting tired, right? I was getting a little burnt of having hey, I know that I quoted you 5.99%, and that was 10 days ago, and I know that I'm quoting you 6.75% today. You're in contract now, right? Like that is real. And I wanted to get in front of objections. And when I say objections, you guys, if you're listening to this, I want you to write this down. There are real objections. So real objections is something to write down. And then there are perceived objections, right? Those are different things. And I wanted to figure out, like, I don't think these are real objections. These are emotional perceived objections from a client, right? Like well, your rates are really high. I love it when people tell us that, like, my rates are really high, right? And I'm like, okay, like I control the Wizard of Oz of interest rates. I can't control that. I can't control your credit score, stuff like that. But that is a perceived objection based on my feeling that I might lose something, right? It's not a real objection. Like it's just an emotional response. So I took this conflict and I decided to go, okay, I've had this talk with 20 people, like 20 different times. I'm just going to create like a really simple landing page, right? That breaks down the Iran conflict and its impact on mortgage rates, right? And I'm going to create this through research. And when I say research, you guys, just please know, I'm not going in and spending 15 hours researching anything. I am prompting AI to go do the research for me, and I'm just talking into it, right? Explaining like, this is what I'm dealing with, right? As a loan officer right now, this is what I'm trying to communicate, the volatility in the market. Can you research the impact on this war is having and could potentially continue to have, right? From an inflation standpoint, from an interest rate standpoint, from a Fed rate cut standpoint, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, right? And then it does all the research for you. I put this into a simple landing page. And then now I was able to, when I was talking to any new lead that would come in, right, or someone that went into contract, I was able to send them a copy of this landing page, right? This interactive. I'm happy to show it, right? Of course, it's not a problem. And you guys can all send your clients there if you want, by the way. It's not even branded to me, It's literally just looks like a journal piece landing page, right? News, real news, right?
Can you show
It's
us?
yeah. So with my concept of like anything that I create, any conversation that I have, how can I use it at least 3 different ways? And then I came up with the 5 things because I realized there's actually 5 that I'm doing. It was 3 originally. So landing page happened. That's 1, right? I will show it to you. 2, how can I communicate this out to new people that I'm talking to right away? Awesome. Email template, as soon as after I talk to them and I let them know I'm going to send them a link to this landing page, right? That is going to break down for them like what's going on. Great. 3, what can I do next? Hey, I could do an email blast like to my database, my past clients, my pre-approvals, right? There's 4 different segments right there. Then I took it and made a text SMS version and I sent it out to all my realtors one Friday, right? And then I took that and I created a long form email that I sent to all my realtors. And then to put like the cherry on top, I started using my autoresponder out of office with messages all the time. And this was one of the first ones that I did. So that's more than 5, by the way, that I just gave you that I did. But that is how we can take any type of conflict or perceived objection or perceived speed bump in the market, and we can use it from client conversations and then create lots of content that we can use and push out there. Now, why is this important? Okay. And I promise I'll show you, I'm not stringing you guys along. Okay. This is important because we are in the business, right, of transferring trust. That is for sure in the top 3 things that we have to do. And we're also in a time in the world where trust is like at an all-time low, right? So trying to solve that is really, really important. And you will lose less clients if you start communicating differently than everyone else. Not that interest rates just went up, not telling them, like show them, tell them, like use professional websites, for example, like I created that I'll show you right now. But that is the concept behind it, Deborah and Todd, is how can we take anything and then create multiple channels of communication to different segments of the market and be more sticky, be more trustworthy? It's all about transferring trust at the end of the day.
Is
I
there
love it.
any reason you didn't do like short form video, long form video,
Yeah.
social
Yeah.
in your
So,
list?
yep. So I did.
Oh, you did
I
do it.
did as
Oh,
well. Yeah, yeah.
okay,
I just
good.
like I'm not trying to brag over here, sharing like but no, you're spot on. So I ended up doing a post that Monday when this originally happened, right? 3 months ago. That's how it actually started, right? Was a post first, ironically. I didn't have this idea when I did the post. And like there's a video of me, by the way, with my skincare routine. It's just me in my house at like 10 o'clock at night, right? Going like, hey, this is what's happening and everyone should be ready, right? Like this is happening right now. And I just put oils on my face. And so Kara asked me, my wife, she was like, why were you so sweaty in that video? And I go, I wasn't sweaty. I just finished my oil routine.
You could be doing that as you're talking, and people will consume and just watch. It's like they're so curious that you're just having a regular conversation while you're doing your skincare
So
routine.
I did actually I did a short form video first, and then I did actually create, after I made this site and was having these conversations, a longer form YouTube version of it, which was also included in my autoresponder with a link to the webpage.
So think
Yay.
about it, because I think some of you are like, oh, I could never create a web page. And I know that's what you're going to be actually talking about at the Mastermind event in
Right.
Vegas later this month. And so maybe after that, we can have you back to share, what you're teaching there. But I love the fact, right, multi-channel, because I knew Deb was going to pick up on that. And I do think for most of you, that's the easy button, is to do the research and then just record a video. But you heard Jeremy say it, not only to do a short-term video, and he didn't care that he'd oil all over his face. And then secondarily, then he also did a long form video of it. Again, it's just a commitment to doing the things that we all know we need to do, that people like Jeremy come on and share with you as great ideas. Deborah's always trying to get you all on video. That's just multiple times during the day. I love the fact too, you guys don't see it, that Jeremy's got a wine goblet. That's not just a glass, with water that he's also consuming as water. So I know he's committed to water consumption. So I love that. And also just a side note, it makes me feel better. I didn't put it on this morning because, I was zooming up my ladder here to Club 44 to get on the call on time. But my lonely barber, the guy who cuts my hair in the van along Abbot Kinney here in Venice, he just gave me some of his new oil to test out on my face. I tried it yesterday for the first time. I felt pretty good about the oil thing. So it makes me feel good, Jeremy, to know that you are doing oil as well.
Yeah, shout out Caldera Labs.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's on the podcast.
so I'm gonna go ahead and like just share the screen so you can see what this looks like, right? And here's what's cool about this site is I can update it anytime I want. I've only updated it twice, but let's go ahead
Are
and just
you
share.
willing to share which AI tool you prefer
Oh, of course.
for this
Yeah.
You'll see it in the link, right? Because it's gonna have that in the name of the link.
Yeah, so it's Manus. You can see right here in this link up here. Insane, by the way. Like it looks. I remember when it was done and I was like, I made this. And I had to remind myself, I didn't make this, but I helped create this, right? It is really incredible. So look at how clean it is. And it's just the conflict and interest rate impact, right? Since the strike against Iran begun, rates have surged from X to X, right? And the pressure continues to mount. And then it breaks it down on why, right? Like here's what it looked like. And I've updated this. Like I said, you can see it was updated March 24th. Okay. And then this just breaks down some really simple stuff, right? On 5 years, consecutive years, inflation has exceeded 2% target, right? Why is this like not moving in a normal pattern, in a crisis pattern, right? Like, because these are the questions that people ask. I was getting, and I'll share my screen again in 1 second. I just need to look at you because it feels weird looking at my own thing. Like people listen to us. Okay. This is what I want you guys to take away. A nugget here is that people really do listen to you and they remember what you say. So that's why it's important for you to believe what you say and tell the truth. Because I have so many people telling me like, Jeremy, I thought you always told me that when something bad happens in the world, that interest rates go down. I was getting my clients were calling me and like, hey, should I refi? We're going to war, right? Like, and I was like, holy shit, I do say that. And typically that is true, like when there is some type of global conflict issue, et cetera. And this time it's just different, right? And so I had to remind myself, just quick takeaway, that people do listen to what you say, and that's great. And also be prepared to educate them if they do listen to what you say, if something changes, right? So this just breaks everything down, how the oil price shock fuels inflation fears and why. I'm not going to read you the whole thing, but conflict, oil surge, inflation fears, higher interest rates, right? Like really, really simple. It broke down the targets for the Fed, right? And what the 5-year trend looks like, and with the oil stock impact, oh gosh, it's going up, right? So it gives people visuals as well, like to look at, not just you telling them things. Because the problem with just telling people information and not showing them is that someone else can tell them something totally different. And then it becomes a he said, she said, or like, who's right? Who's lying? Who's BSing me? And so using like visuals as well as real research, like if you can see right here, it gives all the sources of where it came from. It doesn't say from Jeremy Forcier's like idea as to like what's going to happen. It's taking me out of it actually as the expert and just showing people where the information comes from. So competing forces, I could keep going, but this is a really amazing page that was made in literally like 6 minutes. Like it did not take a long time. It was really, really easy to do. And notice that it says this isn't normal geopolitical event, though. I've started using these quotes when I'm talking to clients now, because it's also in alignment with what I'm sending them and what I'm showing them. So that is an example, right, of how you can take one conversation, one educational moment, one experience, and you can create it into multiple ways to communicate out.
I love it. So, um, I think it's brilliant. And I think that, I know Manus has been, really huge for you. And I'd love to ask about that more about that in a minute. But one of the things you said I thought was really cool is your out of office responder. And I think you're not putting that out of office because you're on vacation. You're literally putting that out of office so that everyone who sends you an email gets a response with this educational extra nugget of information that you've created, correct?
100%, man. Like, is it okay if I share my screen again?
Absolutely.
Cool. So I'll just show you like what it is right now. How about that? Okay. So I have one on right now, which I'm gonna have to change today because I think the market keeps getting better the last couple of days. Is that right? I try not to pay attention to it, but I'm not immune, right? So if I go into my out of office, which is somewhere in here, it's under automatic replies. Here we go. So here's what people are getting, okay, is it just says, I don't know why this font thing, there you go away. Market update, right? A stronger than expected jobs report pushed mortgage rates higher this week, right? I recorded a short video explaining why, what it means, and where rates could go from here. Let me know if you'd like me to run some specific numbers. So to Deborah's point, she was like, well, why didn't you make a video about it? That was just me making a point. She was right. Like, hey, if you're doing this, why wouldn't you do this? So my out of office has been on since Monday, right? With this on it. And I'd made a commitment when I made this to go, hey, I'm just going to do this every Monday. Like, why wouldn't I? Why wouldn't I do a 2 to 5 minute video, post it on YouTube and use it as my autoresponder every single week? Like, why wouldn't I do that? It's really easy to do. And you're educating them without having to tell them that they're wrong, that their rate should be lower, right? Like, you're literally telling them, showing them and telling them. I started using autoresponder out of office like this back in COVID because I was drowning in loans, right? And I had to figure out a way to give myself space, right? And so that's when it first started. And then I realized that like the out of office is one of the most underutilized tools that we don't think about creatively to get information out. Because if someone emails you, they automatically get a response at least once with something of value. That's the key, with something of value. Not that you're out of the, I never tell anyone I'm actually out of the office. Like so I'm using the out of the office more as a marketing, communication, educational tool to transfer trust once again, right? Like pre-selling people on what's going on in the market, pre-selling them as to who I am, what's my energy like, what's this guy about? And then I'm losing way less deals. Like my conversion rates are really high. My leads are down just because market's the market. It is what it is. But my conversion is really, really high. And
that's what I was about to ask you.
Yeah.
Some of the results that you've seen just from implementing these things.
Yeah.
Have you seen an increase in like inbound conversations
For
generated?
sure. Yeah. I mean, I've had a real estate agent, Rosa, who I love, right? Like who we're not even in the same market. When we've worked together for about 5 years now. She's fantastic. And she emailed me and said, hey, can I send this out to my whole database, right? When you're getting people say stuff like that, those are called clues to success that you should probably repeat, like whatever it is that you're doing and figure that out. So yeah, people share it. I ask people to share it, right? Please share this with anyone that you think needs to hear this or that's going through a transaction. Doesn't mean that they're working with me. Like, take this, that's valuable. LOs ask this all the time, Deb and Todd, and I know you guys know this. They're always like, I don't know what bringing value is. So value is really simple. Will it help that referral partner in this context get in front of more people? Will it help that referral partner be viewed as an expert and a trusted source as to what's going on in the market? Right? Will it save them time? That's valuable to them. They didn't have to think of it and type it up themselves. Right? So there is a reason that I don't, and I would love your guys' opinion on this because I could be totally wrong and I'm open to being wrong and changing it. There's a reason why I thought and think that I don't brand these things to Jeremy Forcier, ironically, so that other people can use them. And I don't know if that's a mistake or not. I do notice that more people are willing to use it if it's not branded to me, like including my LOs, including real estate agents, et cetera. But anyway, my conversion is up. My conversion's up significantly. I mean, I'm like 75% lead to application rate, right? Like,
Wow.
yeah, yeah. Now that doesn't mean they're all qualified, y'all, but I'm just saying it's never been ever in my whole career ever been even close to that high ever.
Yeah, that's huge. I think that says a lot. I mean, you're getting emails from title companies about closings, and then now that escrow officer is getting a link to your video and you're looking different to them. So the next person who's got a deal going sideways, they're going to say, you should call this Jeremy guy. He seems pretty smart. I think on your question on the branding part, I don't know. I'm on the fence on that, right? I feel like you're right. It definitely looks like it's unbiased news because it doesn't have your information on there. Certainly as a leader like you are in allowing your people at cross country who are being coached by you to use it, and then your Rise Co clients in the future, they'll be able to use that stuff. That to me totally makes sense. Deborah, what do you think though on the fact you feel like Jeremy's missing something where at the bottom it doesn't say, brought to you by Jeremy, or does it? I don't know that it matters since he's the one who delivered it to him anyway.
I mean, I think it depends on the motive behind the piece. I think not every piece of marketing, there's a difference between marketing and branding. And so some of it could just be to purely educate and also amplify those that you care about, like the loan officers that you work with and your referral partners. So if this is one of those pieces, now I will say in the spirit of how to take one frequently asked question from the week and
Right.
multiply it would be to also then write an AEO SEO optimized blog that goes on your website that you own so that it's owned media. Also then on YouTube, then short form video, then an article on LinkedIn. Like, so there's ways to take one single question that you get every week and recreate it or repurpose it into multiple different distribution channels that will help you get seen. But the most important part, and Jeremy, this is something that you're really good at, is you can make complex things simple, but also easy to repeat. And Todd and I have talked about this before, where it's not just being visible, but it's being remembered when it matters most. So the fact that your clients, it didn't surprise me that they called you because there was bad things going on. You've made that phrase so easy to remember that it's sticky, and then they think of Jeremy. So it's like
Right.
it's those little triggers that how do you make it easy to repeat, but also are you meeting people where they're at when it matters most? So then you're
Right.
remembered and referenced.
Right. That's awesome. Yeah. So I appreciate that. And that makes total sense to me. So it looks like I have some work to do still, which is great. Like there's always something else that you could be doing. But I totally get that. And by the way, when I'm sending someone something directly, whether it is an email or a text, even if the actual piece isn't branded to me or to anyone who's listening, right? That is still you directly. Like, so I understand the concept of that. Like that, it doesn't, the
Mhm.
piece can be used multiple ways, right? And marketing versus branding. I love that. Thank you. That's a big takeaway for me, actually.
But also your auto response, what I also love about the fact that you put the YouTube video is, and I think a lot of people, they skip this in like maybe their database email for the week, like your value bomb. A lot of times they'll just insert or attach something instead of maybe hyperlinking a word to a video that's on your Instagram or on your YouTube channel, because that's bringing them back. You're meeting them via email, but they're clicking on the link and they're going back to another hub that they can connect and follow and be on that distribution list too. So same is true with like mailers are coming back and doing really well. I think because a lot of things are coming to people, through digital. But the fact that you put your YouTube link, I love that because it takes them to your channel. You own that channel. I know you have your website that you own. Most people have a company website, but I just wouldn't rent that asset from a company. I would have my own website and my own channels that is your media.
Love that.
So good
Awesome.
job.
So I made a comment here, but I want to make sure that people who are listening and aren't watching this hears that I put it in the chat is that Jeremy's very coachable. Do you guys hear that? Like first off, he's asking us for feedback because he truly wants feedback. And then secondarily, he hears it. And then now he's like, oh, I'm guessing if we interview Jeremy, probably next week, but let's pretend we have him on in a month or whatever our normal cadence will be of always having Jeremy on as our number one guest. And he's going to have already implemented this and be able to give us some tactical results. One last thing I was thinking about at the autoresponder too is I think if you sent out that email to certain people, it's going to get blocked because it's an email with a link in it and you're a mortgage guy. But because they emailed you and it's going to them, it's genius. You're getting that marketing through their spam filters as well. So what else do you think is going to keep the people who are listening to this from taking action? Like, how are they going to overcomplicate it?
Yeah, I mean, how you're going to overcomplicate it is to think that it's complicated. I know that sounds like obvious, but it's really not. So all you have to do is literally write down, like I created. So here, I'm just going to tell you my process. Okay, so I look at my day, and because there's no other way to explain it, right, than to actually break it down. So I look at my day, and at the end of the day, I always look at, okay, who did I talk to? What scenarios did I run? What happened that maybe was conflict? I just reflect and I look at my appointments and all the people that I talked to. Okay, number one, that helps me track so I can fill out. But number two, that allows me to be aware of what took place during the day. And then I just choose one that might be a great example to use, like in communication with someone else. So I'll give you a great example. As soon as we get off this today, I have to coach my loan officers for an hour. But after that, I'm going to do a story on Instagram that is literally just about like don't not being afraid like to make an offer when realtors tell you that that's too low, right? Because I had a client who wanted to make an offer and the realtor he was working with was like, we can't make that offer. And so he ditched the realtor and found a different one. And we got into contract yesterday, like at the lower price, right? At the price that they wanted to write. They didn't get a $20,000 concession, but they got 10 and they got 50,000 off the list. Like that's an example that I reviewed that this morning, right? Yesterday I reviewed it. This morning I looked at it again, said, yep, I'm using that one. Now that will become a content piece, right? That I can just put out on my story today. And I could turn that into a longer video if I wanted to, like tomorrow, next week, etc. I could use that as a text out to my realtors of like, hey guys, in this market, here's what's important is making sure the client is feeling supported first. The process is simple. Just look at what you already do. Look at what you have solved or failed at, right? Look and then create an educational piece about it for yourself first. And then after you do it for yourself, then communicate it out to other people. And we're just talking about like social and email and autoresponders. This works in other conversations with other clients, in conversations, talking to people, right? You can use all of this stuff, the same process to create like 5 different opportunities when you're talking to other people, right? So buy before sell. Like that is 64, 68%, I think, of my pipeline when I looked this week. Crazy. Like how, but guess what? I talk about it all the time. I talk about how I have 5 going right now when I'm talking to clients, when they're nervous about how do I buy this house before I sell my current one. That's so great because it makes up 64% of my pipeline. That is what we are doing right now, right? I am the expert at it. Like this, it's so much easier than you think. Give me your scenario, and I'm sure I can compare it to dozens that I've done already. And there's someone that's just like you. That's how you take like one conversation and you turn it into multiple conversations. Now, you might be thinking, okay, cool, that makes sense for me. But what else? Like, how do you generate leads? Well, really simple. If you have that conversation with a client, then you hang up the phone. If I have 1 minute or 5 minutes in between my next appointment, as soon as I hang up the call, I look at who referred me that. I call them and tell them, here's what we just went over, et cetera, right? I'll call the listing agent if it's in contract, right? Hey, just talk to the borrower. We're good to release contingent. What? I don't waste a second on communication. Hang up, use the same conversation that you just had and call someone else and talk about it instantly. Give them a text update. Like that's how you multiply your efforts from one thing and turning it into multiple things. And guess what? I get more referrals because of it. Like that's how it works. And you can ask for more opportunities.
Yeah, you know what? It's so funny to hear you say that. It's such a good reminder, and I feel like that's where loan officers miss it. Like literally, you got the referral, you've been chasing it for a week, maybe. You finally talk to them, and you might send a text, "Hey, I just talked to him." Like you're not picking up the phone and actually giving them the context and having a conversation so that they feel better about how hard you worked. Plus, you get to brag a little bit without bragging, and so I think there's just so many missed opportunities. And I think the other thing that people maybe thinking about. But I just heard you say at the end of the day, I sit there and I review my day. I make sure my tracker's updated. And then you already laid out what your next morning looks like. So I think you're really intentional around looking at your day in the morning and then looking what is it I plan on doing and where I plan on doing it. So that way, as these things come up, you already said after my coaching session that we do next, then I'll do this, I'll be able to look at doing the content. So you've already scheduled these things in too. It's not like they magically happen, because if you don't schedule the time to do that kind of work, it probably doesn't happen. Although you did do it at 10 o'clock at night once, which scares people probably too.
Well, you don't have to do it at 10 o'clock at night, but it's just keeping it really simple. So what I was trying to process as I looked up and was thinking really hard is that another takeaway is that rather than think about like, how much time do I have? How am I going to do all this? Just think about like, when something happens, do I have 2 minutes to do something right now? So the reason that video happened at 10 o'clock at night, I didn't plan that. It's because it was on my mind and bothering me, and I was worried about what I was going to walk into the next day. So I've learned that the easiest way for me to pour some water on my internal fire when I'm kind of spinning out a little bit is to just address it and do it right in the moment. Right. So it's not a pretty video I'm talking about. If you guys can go look at it, like it was.
I saw the video. I thought it was great. Just
yeah,
for the record.
but it's just me talking, right? Like walking around in my kitchen. So I just want you all to not miss the point of that execution above everything. Don't overthink it. When you think something, you should probably do it as fast as humanly possible. Like, and not worry about anything else. Just get it done. Like, just do it. And Deborah, you can talk now.
I was going to say, for those who are wondering about the time, because that's immediately the objection that I was hearing from loan officers that even I work with that are probably thinking, how in the world am I going to have time for this? And something that we did really early on for Denise's team is we embedded videos during the process. Like when the file was sent to processing, it was a video of Denise. When the file was sent to underwriting, it was a video that thoroughly explained from her voice and language exactly what that meant and what to expect next. Like all the frequently asked questions we put on the YouTube channel, and we put them as unlisted. And that way the team could say Denise actually had recorded a video over that very thing, because we get that quite a bit. Go ahead and watch this. If you have any further questions, we'll schedule a call. But it's how you one time and still feel like it's your brand that's not being diluted by, when you are scaling, because sometimes you can feel like, am I getting lost in the message, and how do I ensure that things are still being delivered at my standard? But the other thing it did is it cut down on the random inbound emails or calls, because we were proactively giving them what they needed to truly understand, oh, my file was sent to processing. Like, what does that mean? Like, is that good or bad? Or it just was a way for us to actually, hack our time in a more efficient and effective way, so that the phone only rang for new business was the rule.
I love that. I need to get back to that because I'm doing a lot.
Well, the funny part about that is, and I'm in a sec, Jeremy, I'm going to ask you to share about RiseCo and what you got going on there. But what I love about that is, you're maximizing all the time during the day. I mean, you don't make any excuses about it. Hey, I'm just doing the things I need to do to make sure that I'm making everyone happy, keep everyone informed. But you generally do it with a smile on your face. You and I jumped on Zoom maybe 2 Sundays ago. You look good. You had like a bright shirt on. Your skin looked great, of course. And it was a Sunday, and you were like, "Oh, I just got off of back-to-back Zooms with a client." And after our Zoom, you're like, "Oh my gosh, I got another client Zoom." And your family wasn't there, so you weren't taken away from family time. You were like, "Okay, I got time. I'm at home, and I'm gonna actually do what I need to do with my clients." And so for you, this truly is a way of life, and I see how much you enjoy serving people. And I've been with you in business settings where you're like, hey, I'm just gonna. And so I just truly love how the aura of you, Jeremy, the coach, the loan officer, the business partner to all these real estate agents, and I just see you living it day in and day out.
Yeah, man, you have to do your best, not try your best. I want everyone to write that down. Don't ever say, we'll try our best. I'll try my best. You're already giving yourself an out by saying the word try. Just say, I will do my best. doing your best is very different than trying your best. Because when you say you're trying your best and you didn't do the thing that you wanted to complete, you're like, oh, well, I tried my best. Well, did you? I mean, you're already giving yourself a psychological out. Like, so just do your best. And then whatever the result is, but you will always be better if you actually just do your best rather than try, right?
Yeah, you got to eliminate try from your vocabulary. I used it a lot, and Bill Hart coached that out of me. And so every time I hear myself still using it, I hear Coach Bill in my ear, like, there is no try. Yoda said that too. But I'm super pumped for you, Jeremy. I know RiseCo, I saw you announce it with Dave last week. You're doing a June kind of spin up of it with a July 1st launch. You mind just sharing kind of what that looks like? And then I mentioned before you're giving away your tracker for free, which is kind of cool. I know if they go to riseco.com, people can get it there. But just real quick, what are you doing over at RiseCo?
Yeah. Well, we are just dedicated to, help people who want to demand more of themselves in their life and that actually want to do the work, right, that is needed to do and have someone help them along the way with a lens that maybe can see things that they can't see. It's like the project of all projects for me because I love to coach. I love to get to know people. I love to help people do things that they can't do on their own. And the reason I love that so much is that I've had so many people help me in my career and in my life accomplish things that I would say out loud that I wanted to do this, but the reality is like I didn't know how, or I wasn't emotionally stable enough at the time. Like all the things. There's just foundational things that we go over, but really it's just about resilience. It's about intentional action. It's about elevating yourself in the right zones, and it's about creating equilibrium, which is different than balance, by the way. Like I don't believe in balance for sure. Like, have you ever seen anyone on a teeter-totter and it's just they're both sitting perfectly still, like on each side, and it's not moving up or down? No, because that's not how it works. Just like that's not how life works. But if you can create equilibrium, right, and to be able to move within boundaries, right, of what your standards are, that's more important. So a lot of it is to not just have a great work life, but to have an incredible life in all your areas, including health. Like I've been on a big health journey, so that's a big thing for me. And then we have like a small group coaching where we're coaching with other peers of people that are in like production segments, et cetera. And then we also, have just one-on-one elite coaching, which is really, really special. It's something different that no one has done in our industry at all. It truly is custom to the individuals. It includes three incredible experiences on an annual basis. Think 5-star resorts, like shooting guns from helicopters or zip lining, like real experiences, like things that you need to do that are uncomfortable, right? And it's all included. You guys can go check it out at riseco.com. There is a free tracker button if you actually just want a copy of the tracker of what I use every single week and what I coach from predominantly as well. It has a whole legend in there. Like, feel free just to go check it out, download it. It's absolutely free. And yeah, I'd be honored if any of you have any questions, just click the contact us page or, shoot me a DM and I'd be more than happy to chat with you about it.
Yeah, what I love about it, Jeremy, is you're trying to make it for everyone, right? I think that the community aspect is cool because you made it so that I've got a big community where you're going to go in there and coach live and create some accountability that's affordable. You're doing the group coaching at a price that I think is a bargain compared to what I see other big organizations do. Obviously, the elite one-on-one. What just on the tracker? Can you just give us just a couple minutes on what makes your tracker sort of unique? Obviously, I'm a big planner with Win by Noon. And I think that you've tried to simplify it in just a handful of activities.
Yeah. So as far as like trackers, let's just talk about activities, right? Of what's important to track. And what I did, when I made this was that I took the time to look at all the tracking stuff that I had been using from different programs I was in and stuff like that. And like, what did I actually do? I've coached for almost 14 years now. Like I've coached for people, right? Like hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of loan officers, like over a 14-year time frame. And I was always very curious as to like what's effective, what's not. Why don't we just get rid of the things that no one does anyway or that isn't effective? and let's focus more on like the actual activity and the action part of it rather than how it happens. I track 50, I call them POCs, so points of contact, right, on a weekly basis. And the definition of a point of contact, this is a one-to-one, right, like communication. It has to be some type of prospecting call, whether you're asking for an appointment, even if you're in an update call with a client, asking for another introduction maybe to someone, et cetera, et cetera. These are prospecting points of contact, right? Calling past clients, et cetera. And, what I found is that people just hammer on calls because they feel like they need to fill out this thing like by the end of the week, and then they just sound flat and they're saying the same thing to everyone and it's not genuine and blah 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 blah, right? So I switched it up and I've been using text like way more than ever because that's just how people communicate, right? So points of contact would be like text with a reply, right? Someone replied back to you, not just like, hey, how you doing? Like that doesn't count, right? You have to have rules around this stuff, like past client annual reviews, right? Talking to them, et cetera. But 50 a week. So that's just 10 a day. And this is 10 contacts a day, which is not hard when you break it down. 10 contacts a day, right? That you are intentionally, proactively reaching out to with a specific message, a specific purpose, like of the call to help build your business. And yeah, so anyhow, that's one thing that we track every single week, no matter what. I usually get done with mine like by Wednesday or Thursday. And then I still work, of course. So there's way more than 50 for me, but it just to show everyone like how easy it is actually to complete the 15 meaningful meetings, like making sure that you are getting face to face with 15 people. And people overthink this, you guys. I'm going to get on my call at 10 o'clock with my LOs who I coach. And I'll tell you what, every week they're like, I don't know how to do the 15 face to face. Like it's not possible. That's what they always say. And I say the same thing every week. And I'm like, really? I went out to dinner last night with Griselda, Dave, and Matt and Deja. Matt and Deja are really good friends of mine, and he is a referral partner. Dave is their friend, and now I am doing a refinance for Dave. That is two face-to-face, like last night, right? Like with them, or get on a Zoom, right? With someone. I count Zoom as face-to-face. It's not in person, but it is face-to-face. So when a client is like, hey, I have questions about this, I say, great, I'm going to send you a Zoom link. Just click on it so I can share my screen. Oh, bingo, I am face-to-face all of a sudden, right? So these are really, we overcomplicate it. If you're low on face-to-face, what I always teach people on the weekend is like, hey, just stop in at 3 open houses. Like, and really the face-to-face portion, the reason why people think it's so hard is they make it like this big to do, when I'm just saying be more aware of your surroundings, even when you're out in public, right? Like, so when I was in line at Mulesbury Market 2 Sundays ago, and Fermin, the realtor, was behind me and I didn't see him. And he was like, hey, Jeremy, how are you? And I was like, oh my God, haven't seen you in so long. That's a face-to-face, because I text him after and asked if he'd like to get together. So these are, so 15 meaningful meetings. You guys can go, when you download it, you can read, there's a full legend that I put to it explaining the philosophies of all this and what it is. 1 mass communication per week, right? That would be either a mass email, mass text messages, like, and then 10 gratitude touches. Those could be note cards. Those could be voice memos to people saying that you appreciate them and what you appreciate about them. And then minimum 3 social posts on social media per week that are business related. These are the simple things that we track. I mean, it's unbelievable to see the momentum that I'm seeing LOs that are using this correctly. It's happening. Like I'm seeing it in their leads. I'm seeing it in their conversations. And this gives really great insight for yourself, whether you coach with me or anyone else, or you don't coach with anyone, period. This is self-accountability that will give you a lot of insight to your business. If you fill this out every week and it's 100% filled out and you do it every week for 120 days, so that's how many weeks is that? Whatever it is, 12 weeks, something like that. So if you did that and you still are getting no results, now we know what the issue is. It's not the activity. It's what you're saying or what you're doing or what your value is. And then guess what? What's awesome about that? You can work on that. You can change that. You can change your messaging. You can change the way that you're asking, or for the most part, you're not asking at all for anything. That's usually the number one issue. So that's why I love it. I've oversimplified it, of course, because I have to for me to be able to use it. And it's really done some wonders for myself and my business, as well as the people that I'm leading.
Yeah, I think the thing is, if you actually fill out all the things on the tracker, by the end of the 12 weeks, you're going to be more confident because you've done it. You probably sucked the first couple of days and the first couple of weeks maybe, but you're going to be better by the end of it. I heard John Cheplack recently did a post where he said, if people actually do 10 contacts a day, which is kind of what you're talking about, he said that they're the most successful in the business. And he said that he's only had a couple clients ever who didn't do it, and they just must not have been learning it well enough from him, and he referred him to somebody else. But here's a guy who's impacted thousands of people who just by creating a standard that they do 10 contacts. I recently just was alerted of a real estate agent who I'm trying to get on the show in a small town called Lake Havasu in Arizona. And he's committed to 20 contacts a day. He's closed over 100 transactions himself with one assistant this year as a realtor. And he's got some crazy amount. He's on track to make $2 million this year. And all he's done is because he's committed to circle prospecting around his listings and making sure he talks to 20 people a day, which is just, again, it's just taking what you and I are doing and doubling down on that. So I love it. I know that we probably could do or should do a whole show around using the tracker and giving examples of each of these areas where we can role play it. So maybe we put that on our list for the future. Jim, anything else that you want to say today that we haven't covered before we close out?
No, I would just say expect and demand more of yourself, like while being kind to yourself, which I know sounds counterintuitive, right? But I really do believe that if you demand and expect more of yourself, if you want to have the life, the business that you really want to live that is special in your vision of what it looks like and what success looks like to you, then demand it of yourself, and also be kind to yourself, knowing that it's going to be hard and you are going to have setbacks and it's not going to work out all the time exactly the way that you think. But having the expectations and demand yourself to do all of the things that the person you want to become should be doing is the easiest way to hack success.
All right, Deb, close us out.
I just have one more question. Do I have time?
Cool. Yeah.
Sure, let's squeeze it in.
Why, when people want what they say they want, and you could give them this tracker, what gets in the way still of just doing? Is there anything?
So let's do that. Here's just the quick lead-in tidbit to that, right? Is for different people, it's different things, first of all. But for the most part, the overarching portion is that they're not willing to pay the price of what it takes to be the expensive version of themselves and what they see. It's not tied to a specific, why are you really doing this? You're not clear as to why you're doing it. Like when I was broke and foreclosed on 3 houses back in 2010, 9, whatever that was, that era, and lost all my money and like literally closed my company, right? Like all the things. And I had a really strong why. I was like, I am never going to let that happen again, ever. And it still drives me, right? Like to this day. So, and your why could be anything. It could be making money. That's fine. It could be like going on 5 vacations a year, but getting really clear on your why and what fires you up and tapping into that whenever you don't want to do the work is what drives me. And it's what drives my clients usually, is reminding them of what fires them up when they're not willing to pick up the phone or do the work.
I'm going to close this out real quick. So hang with me for a second while Jeremy jumps to go coach his people. But that was great, Jeremy. Thank you, my friend. Next week, we're going to have Michael Regan, a coach with Building Champions, on. And he's going to talk about an event that I'm going to be at this year called the Building Champions Experience, where one of the things you're going to work on is your personal why. And so Michael will be talking about that next week. I don't know what the title of the show is. But I know that we'll touch on that, but it's a great opportunity to work on that, because if you don't have fire in the belly, it's hard to get there. I would say I had lots of takeaways. My top one that I'm going to implement immediately is the email responder with a link to a video. That's going to be great. I've committed to a weekly video for realtors and clients. So that was number one. And then he gave a great script there at the end, which I didn't get to call out because I didn't want to interrupt him. But he said, hey, I'm just going to send you a Zoom link. Just click on it so I can share my screen. Like, what an easy way while you're talking to someone to get them on there and have that face-to-face meeting and turn what could be an ordinary conversation like they just had with the online lender they spoke to and turn it into a one-on-one meeting where they get to know who you are, see your ethos, see those eyes. But the bottom line is this, is that we love you and appreciate you showing up here, whether it's live or on the recordings, to learn from us. And we look forward to seeing you next week or here soon on our channel. Thanks, everyone.